What's up, you guys? Welcome back. For the sake of not moving my camera because I was recording another video, I'm gonna stay here and just do the reading from here. So I'm gonna pull out current energy, which just flew out as the Hermit, actually. The challenge, I won't look yet, and then the advice. Let's also clarify the Hermit with the current energy. Okay, Queen of Wands. What else? Eight of Pentacles reversed, Knight of Pentacles reversed, Nine of Swords. Yeah, okay, I'm already getting messages here. Under the deck is Three of Swords. Let's clarify these with some oracle cards. I haven't looked at the challenge or the advice yet. Let's just see what we get. Okay, present energy, challenge, advice under the deck. Okay, underneath the deck is the card about power, the prophetess of power. And it says, I call my power back from all times and all places. I am my own. And it's coming with the Three of Swords. What's under there? Six of Pentacles reversed, Eight of Cups reversed. Let me see what's under her. Yeah, I am peace. When my mind is clear, the way is clear. And even the Red Lady Sekhmet, goddess of anger, I am pure strength. I honor my anger by giving voice to it. There's just this big shift going on right now, I feel, for a lot of us, myself included, you know. We're all going through different things, but there's something going on with letting go of grief and like letting your past experiences, no matter how hurtful they might have been or painful, to not, it's this balance of like not letting it close your heart down completely, but at the same time, like you have to honor your needs and your boundaries. And I feel that this is such an important part of like the conscious relationship path. You know what I mean? Is to find that balance. It's kind of like a dance. And the way to it, in my opinion, I mean, this is just the way that I roll, is a spiritual practice, which is why this came out along with the Hermit card. Now, the Hermit card, because there might be, again, associated with some of this grief, there could be some repressed anger, some repressed, maybe not even anger, maybe like frustration, exhaustion, kind of like, you know, sometimes you're just like in a lesson for so long that you get weary. And weariness can turn to disillusionment or like a lack of faith. Like you might just start to be like, what's the point? But don't give up is what I'm feeling. You do have to put in some work. You know, you got to put in some effort. There's a part of you that doesn't want to emotionally give up on your desire, whatever your desire is, especially if it's love related. As the current energy, we are getting the Hermit looking at this Queen of Wands. Now, this could be someone else sort of studying you. It is upright, which I think is positive. This could be you also needing to look at yourself. Particularly because I love the Queen of Wands. That's like fire energy. This is like my significator card. It's a person who's very, you know, in touch with her sexual energy, radiant, creative, alive. You know, we've got a lot of fiery stuff. Like we've got that goddess of anger. We've got the power card, the red. Even this one is all red. Do you see how they're all kind of like fired up? So Queen of Wands is very empowered. Again, it's not in the distorted energy. So I feel like, I think you've come a long way. Or if this is somebody that you're interested in, I feel like this person has grown a lot. But yeah, there is this sense of like wearying. I'm just getting the word weary. Like you just get kind of weary sometimes. You're like, how long is this gonna last? Like maybe the grief or it might not even be acute pain. It could be like remnants, like residuals, almost like residue, like old residual energy that's just kind of lingering around and it hasn't fully cleared out yet. And I'm kind of getting that if like you're a person that's watching a sort of Queen of Wands energy, like let's say you're a man and this is the type of woman that you're interested in or someone that you're interested in. And there is anxiety because maybe you are feeling a shift. like in this person. If you're a woman watching this, then you might need to evaluate your commitments to the things that you say you want really badly. What if like part of your spiritual lesson was that it was meant to, this lesson is dragging on because there are things that haven't been as clear to you that you've had to learn and integrate, particularly around timing. Because this is a card, the cosmic egg is the divine feminine energy. It's literally like the card it's the image on these cards. And it says, I hold the universe within me. I am the force of ever expanding love. But it's a card about timing and patience, and that nothing, sometimes like quote unquote, nothing needs to be happening. And you have to be okay in that like stillness or in the in-between. Since it's coming out in the reverse, like I said, I think there is just this kind of, again, weariness with things taking a really long time, or a particular lesson has been long and hard, and not the long and hard that you want or that I want. It's just like less this, more, you know, crying or like you're alone. Like you could have gone through a very long period of like being single, or a long period of like a very long intimacy lesson that's kind of worn you out emotionally. But we'll see what else comes out in the cards. I'm just feeling like, and again, I'm on a spiritual path. I practice Buddhism, and I used to be very impatient, and I'm a lot more patient now. Like I understand that not everything's going to happen in my ego's timing. So I feel like especially if you're a woman watching this, like that's a really tough lesson to integrate when you want something and it just seems like it's never going to happen, or it's like one fucking roadblock and another one and another one, and you're just like, how many obstacles am I going to hit around this situation? Like how much more do I need to learn here? Am I missing something? You know? Is this thing ever going to come into fruition, or the way that I'm thinking, or is it just like, am I dumb? Like, is this pointless? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very easy. The mind will play tricks on us. That's why it says under the deck, when the mind is clear, the path is clear. But it's hard to focus on love and stay open and available when you're frustrated or tired or angry, or I don't know, struggling to like stay in your power and stay centered without giving up. What's the challenge? Yeah, look at how the challenge is this Lilith energy has been coming through so strong. In fact, I made a separate video, which is the one that I was filming before this, for men around the nice guy syndrome, because I have been working, these are the men that come to me. They're all people pleasers. They all struggle with their dark masculine energy. They're not in touch with their power. They're not in touch with their anger. They're not in touch with that like primal, like almost dangerous side of them. They're like really afraid of that. And so they're, the people pleaser in them is repelling strong, confident, sexually liberated women. So a lot of these guys are struggling in like sexless relationships, or they're single and they're like not finding the right women because the women they want are like running away from them. They're like not interested. They're repelling those women, and that's part of their own inner shift around their magnetism and stuff. And so I was talking about this with a friend this morning, a guy that I've known, a friend of mine from college, actually, one of my roommates. I lived with all guys, of course I did, for 2 years, and so I'm still friends with one of my roommates, and we were talking about this, and he was like saying how even in college, and I was like very tiny in college because I didn't really eat, so I was like 115 pounds of like wild woman. Like we lived in a house with guys that would have rager parties and get shit-faced drunk in the basement. And he's like, one night I remember you coming through like what's the guy's name? Raiden from Mortal Kombat. He's like, the door swung open and you just like tore into, like you were like, get the fuck out of here. You leave, you put your pants on. Like he was like, but he loved living with me because he's like, as chill as you were and as fun as it was, he said when push came to shove, like you were fierce, like a den mother. I was like this big. I was like so tiny with all like jocks and big dudes that were like guzzling gallons of beer. So this is the challenge, but it's coming upright, which is interesting, with the let down your guard. And I get it, because like I said, when this fierceness turns into self-protection, like the people pleaser men are coming to me because they want permission to be fierce too. They want to be able to say no. They want to have a backbone. And so they come, you know, they're obviously, those type of people are attracted to my energy because they want permission. They want to know how to do that. However, on the flip side of this, it can turn into a defense mechanism, and then you're just like pushing everything away. And it's not even that you want to push everything away. Like, I know about myself that I can be tough, but it is like a protection. And at the end of the day, you have to understand that you have to let that down. Not with everyone, you know, and sometimes you need to have your boundaries, but sometimes you don't, you know, and that's like, for me, that's always been a personal practice, is to know when to soften and that it is safe. But sometimes the road to that feeling safe, especially with certain people, it's not easy. Like, it's a practice, and you have to learn to trust yourself really deeply so that you can let people in, or let people back in, or reconcile, or, like I said, yeah, just open back up after a really difficult experience, which I can deeply empathize with, so I get it. I'm gonna get one more. That feels pretty clear, but let's just get one more there on the challenge. Yeah, Three of Pentacles reversed right away is like struggling to collaborate again, struggling to like work together on things, like feeling very almost hyper independent. And I know that a lot of people that watch my videos are more avoidant, and most of you guys are alone. Like, you don't date or you don't let people in. So I know you're going to hear this, and it might even be a little triggering, because you might just be like, well, there's no one to trust. I can't trust anyone, or there's no good people out there. None of that is true. You can definitely cling to those beliefs as a way to protect yourself and stay isolated and stay alone. But at some point, love requires risk. Connection requires risk. You've got to just put it back out there. You got to put yourself back out there and be like, I'm trying again. If it's a high value. If not, you can gaslight yourself for the rest of your life and be alone and be like, I don't want love. Like, I don't need intimacy. I'm fine by myself. And good for you, you know? Like, I know for me that was not an option. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna shut down for the rest of my life because I had a tough experience in the past. No, my life's purpose is to love. Therefore, I will open to love. I have opened to love. Like, it's a process, you know what I mean? It's a practice. But if you're not working with anyone and you refuse to let anybody in, then don't be surprised when you're alone. But again, a lot of people can't admit to themselves how badly they desire intimacy, and then they won't take the steps to go back out. Like, you have to take a small step in the physical realm. You've got to like get out of your apartment, for example, or make that phone call, or talk to that person that you've been avoiding, or whatever. Go on that date, you know? So let's see what the advice is. The advice is to play. I'm feeling this I've been sharing this with you guys. My word of the year is joy. I just got my new little music machine. I'm learning how to do music production for fun. Literally, just for now, it's just for a hobby. There's a lot to learn too, but you know, playing more, laughing more, spending more time even in the stuff that I'm creating, doing things that feel easy and light. Like it says, the red goddess, again, red for like the 4th time. Playfulness is a spiritual practice. Laughter leads me back to the light, because it does, you guys. You've got to lighten up at a certain point. All of this, like I said, I just keep getting this word weary. It's coming with the 5 of Pentacles reversed, which to me feels like come out of the cold. Come out of the cold. Where have you been out in the cold, rainy streets? Come back in where it's warm, you know? Light yourself back up. Come back to life, you know? Have a laugh. Go look at some memes, you know? Like, go watch a funny video. Like, I watch like drag queen videos like Trixie and Katya. They're hilarious. Or like whatever, some dark humor, meme therapy. You need to revive yourself. And laughter is medicine for sure. And sometimes it's hard when you've been like in grief for a long time to get back to that, but trust me. Like I said, I messaged my roommate this morning from college because he's hilarious. So we always had fun. We always laugh. And it's just important to keep friends and people like that in your orbit who he's gone through a lot too. A lot of hard times. And laughter keeps us here. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't laugh, what the fuck is the point? Let's get one of these to wrap this up. Just an overall message here. Yeah, this very much feels like it's time to open back up. But again, the tiredness, the sort of duration of this lesson and how long that it's lasted is you know what? Actually, I'm going to get one of these, but I'm just going to ask, like, what has been the purpose of the duration of this lesson? Like, why has it been lasting so long, and why are you needing to learn this lesson around patience and surrendering? What is the purpose of this? Why is it taking so long? Or why has it taken so long? Or been so long? Dakini, of course, this is like the Tibetan female Buddha, basically. The enlightened feminine. My gut instinct is wise beyond reason. I trust my intuition to guide me. This is part of your enlightenment. You know, I've been making these videos about relationship and supporting people in this way on YouTube since 2015. It's been 10 years. A lot of things have shifted, a lot of things have changed, but you know, this lesson is ever unfolding. A lot of things are still unfolding, you know what I mean? And for a lot of you guys, that's the case. And maybe I don't know, the perfect outcome you wanted hasn't happened yet, or like the relationship that you want hasn't come into form, or whatever. You know, I was talking to somebody, I had Dharma class tonight, my Buddhist classes, we're doing a Dharma class right now. That's the philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, Dharma. And somebody was in there and he's brand new, and I was talking to him and he was like, man, I'm so impatient. Like, I feel like there's so much to learn. He's literally brand new. And I was like, take a deep breath. It comes in like a tsunami, and it can be really overwhelming, especially entering like a Buddhist school and a community of people who have been practicing. You feel just like like he looked like lost. So I was just messaging him and helping him out a little bit. And I said, you know, a lot of it is patience. Like, you're just going to have to trust the process, because you're going to find the people, the teachers, the classes, the things. You know, he was interested in vows. I was talking to him a little bit about that. And I was just like, everything happens in divine timing. Like, if you have the karma for it, it might happen soon, or maybe it won't happen right away, and you're going to have to like stick with it and devote yourself to something before you get like a quick result. And this path of like unconditional love or conscious partnership or whatever, all of it, it's always unfolding. It's like a rose blooming and then like reblooming and dying and coming back to life. It's like these cycles, you know, but ultimately it's part of your path of enlightenment, and that's why it's taking so long, because it's a life path. It's not like just one little goal that you're going to check off the list. Because remember, and I was just talking to another client about this, like, once you get into the relationship that you want, which a lot of you, it will happen, right? So let's say you're finally in the relationship, and then you're like, wow, this is like actually really hard. Why? Or you're in a relationship. I was talking to my client about this week. It's like, and he's, you know, been in a very long-term marriage for like almost 20 years. And I'm like, you're still getting to know your partner because your perceptions are still distorted, and you know, you're not seeing her with like clear eyes. You're seeing her through your karma. So there's always work to do. There's always growth. There's always going to be like an evolving that's happening within the container of the relationship. And there's always going to be an alchemy happening, you know? And it's ongoing. It doesn't just stop one day unless you die. So just know that even if you are in a partnership later, or the relationship of your dreams comes into fruition. Let's see what card we got here. Oh, I think we pulled this one before. L-U-G-H, Lug. I don't know how you pronounce that. We'll see what it says. Even when you're in the relationship, that's just a whole new like spiral of learning. And it's also like a deeper level of practice, because then you've got the person in front of you or like in your face all the time. And you're like, you got to just work with that mirror. You know what I mean? And I mean, yes, you know what I'm saying? I'm all for all of the things, but sometimes you get tired or you get frustrated, or you're like, I'm over it. And that's the practice. A relationship is the ultimate mirror, and a partnership, especially if you live with the person, like I always say, you need to remain like an interesting person if you want an interesting partnership. Yeah, look at what this card says. This is totally spot on with the Three of Swords. It says, allow waves of grief to wash over you. Pain from loss and betrayal needs time, space, and support for healing. Rather than denying your pain, face it with tenderness. Exactly. And it's saying, even when anger or other like emotions that are part of the grief cycle arise, you just need to find a healthy outlet to release it. And that grief, you know, it isn't linear. Grief is a spiral. So you're going to go through waves, and sometimes, and again, it could last years, it could last decades. It's okay. You know, grief is just like that. But it's not a reason to not open back up again. And I just really strongly feel here like it's time to really commit to being open to the thing that you desire. So if that is partnership or love, you just have to take the risk. You have to commit, like, yes, this is going to be uncomfortable. Yes, I'm scared. Yes, I could definitely get hurt again. Or yes, I could definitely be disappointed again. But I think it's worth it. If you want what you want, you just have to try. Believe me, I know, and I'm sure one day I'll share more, a little more of personal anecdotes about this. But when I tell you I understand long lessons and challenging tests of faith and surrendering and opening back up to love if there's been a lot of like betrayal or grief or water under the bridge or whatever, it's like, let's remember one thing. Let's not put people in boxes of their past choices. Ourselves, other people. People deserve to grow. We all deserve to grow. So at a certain point, you also have to stop holding people's past stuff against them, particularly if they've evolved. Let it be. It's back there. Let it live back there, like I said in my last reading. Stop bringing it back up to the surface and using it as an excuse to push people away. Let people evolve. Don't hold them hostage to, again, their past experiences. That's where they were then. You too, you know what I mean? I don't want people holding me to the choices that I made 10 years ago. I'm a very different person today, and I don't do the things that I was, like, I haven't done a lot of those things ever again, because I learned that time, that's it. I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to put myself through it. I'm not going to put other people through it. I know better now, but we only know what we know in the moment. So overall, this feels like it's time to open up and take the risk, but don't deny your grief either. It's okay to hold both things. It's okay to like hold both ends of the spectrum of like, this is scary and I still want it. I'm feeling emotional about this, but yet I'm not going to deny myself it either. You have to be able to hold this tension of opposites. That's also a big part of the spiritual path. Certainly the path of deep intimacy. If you want depth, you're going to have to be with the depth, and it's very uncomfortable sometimes. You just have to learn to ride those waves of discomfort and get more used to holding bigger spectrum of emotion yourself and bigger spectrum, wider spectrum of feeling. Also the sensations it brings up in your body, like somatically, and that's why we have a spiritual practice. You just practice a little bit every day, you guys, and I promise that it gets easier. All right? So I love you guys. If you want a one-to-one, I offer 60-minute clarity sessions. We'll do an intuitive reading like this, but personalized. And then I send you with a follow-up email with like practices to keep going. So you can keep the momentum, maybe meditation or two, and whatever else like comes up in your call. It's always individualized depending on what we talk about. All right. Other than that, everything else I've got going on is below. Listen to the Stripped podcast. New episodes are out. And I will see you guys in the next one.